This video surfaced out of China, and it looks like their city is floating in the clouds. Of course, we can't verify if the video is real or not, but we have seen things like this before. This is a type of superior mirage called a fata morgana, where air temperature near the surface is actually cooler than the air above. It can make objects appear like they are stacked on top of each other, or in this case, like a city floating in the clouds. The same phenomenon happens when you're driving in your car on a hot day and you see what appears to be water or something liquid on the road in the distance, or you've heard of people walking through the desert and they see water in the distance, and then once you get closer, it disappears. Light waves travel through the atmosphere from the sun straight to your eye, but they actually travel through the atmosphere at different speeds. A mirage occurs when the temperature on the ground is hotter than the air above. When light travels through the cooler air into that warmer air near the ground, the light is refracted or bent, and what your eye is seeing is not that U-shaped bend, but an illusion.
Mirages appear when you drive along a road on a very hot day and the tarmac, the asphalt on the road, is very hot, so you wouldn't want to put your bare feet on it. And suddenly, on a flat road, if you're driving in the right direction, you can see the sky as if there were a puddle in the road reflected in the road, so that the light from the sky comes down and seems to hit a puddle and be reflected up into your eye. This is called an inferior mirage because it's below the horizon, it's underneath the horizon, it's called inferior. I mean, it's blooming wonderful. It's not inferior in that sense, it's because it's below. And the explanation for these observations was given by Pierre de Fermat, the famous French mathematician. He was a brilliant mathematician, and he wrote to somebody and said, the reason light travels in these funny lines is it doesn't travel in a straight line as people would imagine. It goes along the path which takes the least time. So the question this raises is, under what circumstances could this possibly happen? Well, imagine that light travels at different speeds in different parts of space. Here's an example on a practical level. I'm going to talk about the reflection of light off a mirror. So imagine this is a mirror and I'm standing up. Oh, I'll make this in a human being over there. And the light goes from this person to that person, and it can go in any sort of path, and I'll work it out, the path which takes the least time. And you draw all these paths out, and the one that takes the least time is a symmetrical one, where the angle of incidence in here is equal to the angle of reflection. This is one of the well-known laws of Snell. Now then, of course light will go along this path, but this path along here, going from one to the other, is the one that's going to take the least time compared to all the other paths locally that there are. And that's why we don't see a million reflections. We just see the one in the mirror down here, and we see the other one directly in front of us. So you are seeing the sky in the ground and you're seeing the sky directly. So you only see these two images. So now you understand that the light can travel from one to the other in a direct path, but it can also go on this path. And what's happening when there's a mirage is the light will come from this figure and come down and go up as a parabola, like that. And other paths are possible around here, but they don't contribute, just as these other paths don't contribute, and only that one adds up to create an image that you can see.
Leanne, getting into the parallel universe.
Right, so this is a parallel universe. Hundreds of people, well, actually thousands of residents in 2 different areas in China reported seeing this. It was reported on in the Chinese media there. Did parallel universe open up? Hundreds see floating city filmed in the skies above China. And so their weather experts are saying that this phenomenon it's an illusion called fata morgana, which is, they say it can be seen on land or sea. It involves the optical distortion and inversion of distant objects, such as boats, which will appear stacked like skyscrapers because the rays of light will bend. But this is clearly a city. It's not a boat, a stack of boat. And then there's another video as well where it's a really intricate, a detailed phantom city floating over China. So of course the internet is has gone ablaze. They're wondering, is this Project Bluebeam test, something like that, or China, they say, with all the technological achievements that they have, are they using it, setting up some type of holographic thing to see the response from the public there?
Well, the dead giveaway of this spectacular footage is that you notice it's in key low-lying thick clouds. And this has happened in Mexico City where flying saucers are seen. This has happened out in Arizona when they have low-level fog. And then they see lights in the hills, and then they see these flying saucers or buildings show up. And it is declassified partially. I remember DARPA years ago, it was like in Popular Mechanics. He was mentioning that in Popular Science had articles about the Pentagon admits they've got secret programs with high-powered systems to be able to project a 500-yard tall Buddha or Jesus, flying saucers, whatever they want. But they need cloud cover. They need the right type of atmospherics to do it really big. Right. I mean, in the 50s, they had Disneyland. And I went there before they upgraded it when I was a kid in the 70s or early 80s. And they had ghosts flying around, in the haunted house and look real. Right. I was like, 10 years old. I was like, man, that's really scary. It looks like a ghost through the wall. And those were just little, holograms, 3 different projectors together, 1950s technology. So we know in the first Iraq war, they sprayed hallucinogens on the Iraqi army. They were just conscripts anyways. It was a lot nicer than killing them. Of course, they dropped B-52 bombs on them, too, so I guess they did. As part of the psychological op. Hit them with different chemicals, and then did project some really wild stuff. Muhammad, Jesus, you name it, into the world stuff. Super ships, flying saucers. So people just panic and give up. Hey, man, I just saw flying saucers. Right. I'm giving up. And really, it's 3 jumbo jets up projecting it down on the ground, and they're up at 30,000 feet. But a lot of times this happens in big cities, too, because they've got projectors in buildings. And then they're just testing the public. See, the globalists are scientists. They test what's in the water. They test the GMO. They test communism. They test Nazism. They test, different organizations, different groups, different movements to try to develop the best program to control people. We're saying elevate yourself to the level that they've been so arrogant, most of this is admitted. Geoengineering, you name it. And so you can get to the level of engineering your own views by the real research, not having them engineer you, and you can be at the technocrat level, but use it against them. Their arrogance will be their downfall. Leanne?
Well, and so what do you think about this Project Bluebeam? I believe it was like Reagan said how great it would be if we had some sort of an alien invasion. Do you think they're testing out some type of a scenario like that for the future? The Vatican's warning us about, soon we're going to meet our alien cousins. Exactly.
No, that's, in fact, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. Gorbachev, Reagan, Jimmy Carter. I mean, the amount of world leaders, heads of NASA. I've talked to multiple high-level astronauts off air that said they saw flying saucers, they saw spaceships, they saw space bases. A lot of famous astronauts, Edgar Mitchell's on record saying, they were followed around constantly by him. And then I've interviewed Buzz Aldrin on air, and he started just going, well, the folks that built the pyramids built the base on the moon of Mars, and there's a real obelisk, and that's 2001, but that's classified. I can't get into it. I mean, and then one time, I'm not going to. It's just the point is that, like, are these guys planning psyops on us, or did they really see flying saucers?
Well, and that's the thing is obviously in the Bible it talks about the second coming of Christ and all of that. So what if they were to create some type of scenario like that where people say, oh, wow,
Well, they talk about everyone seeing the beast and the machine that's with the beast in Revelations, and pull up the actual passage. And then in Jerusalem, there is a machine that speaks for the beast. Right. That's worship that everyone can see. And it describes this huge being that is that is the beast, but is the facsimile of the beast, and then it can be seen worldwide. Right.
And here they are, like, testing this technology with these floating cities and just telling everyone, oh, it's a boat flipped upside down.
And no, there's no chemtrails. There's just tens of thousands of documents admitting geoengineering.
Right. So they don't want anyone to be aware of it until they're ready to launch the project.
It is crazy because you watch that video that's shot by multiple news agencies, and it's either staged by the government through the news agency and is fake, but all these witnesses say they saw it, or it's a giant hologram. That is not some anomaly.
Right. And this is in 2011 this happened. I mean, this has happened multiple times. I mean, obviously we know in a lot of cities there in China. They do have major issues with pollution. So, of course, that can bend the light. But this is a city. It's a fully formed city, you know.
Why are you being a conspiracy theorist? Leanne, you're not allowed to look at something and say what you think it is.
Conspiracy
If Obama
analyst.
says that there's nothing there, there's nothing there, okay? Leanne, thank you so much. We'll see you on the Nightly News tonight.
What the fuck?